Okay, so basically this is a lecture on degrees and radians and quadrants. So the quadrant system is set up as quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? Whether it's in degrees or it's in radians, it's still 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? If we're looking at two mirrored images of 30-degree angles, then we're looking at a 30-degree angle here is a positive 30 degree because it's going in the counterclockwise. And going in the clockwise direction, it's going to be a negative 30 degrees. Now when we talk about radians, 30 degrees is actually pi over 6 in radian terms. So as a radian, we're talking about a positive pi over 6 or a negative pi over 6. Okay? Now, once again, to change degrees to radians, I take the 30 degrees and multiply it by pi over 180, or 180 degrees, and that equals this 30 degree pi over 180 degree pi, whereas the degrees are canceled, the 10s are canceled, and so now you cancel out the 3's and the 18, and 3 goes into 3 once, and 3 goes into 18 6 times, and, oops, that's not 180 pi, it's just 180. So we have just the 1 times pi over 6, so we get pi over 6, and that's where we change 30 degrees to pi over 6. Now in the same way, we can take pi over 6 and change it to degrees. But we use the inverse of that ratio, that 1 ratio that we're talking about. Because pi, this is pi over 2, this is pi, this is 3 pi over 2, and this is 2 pi as you go around. And it starts at 0, and then as you come around, it gets to 2 pi. So because pi is equal to 180, then pi over 180 is 1. And so by multiplying this ratio to get rid of the degree, you want the degree of 1 with the degree on the bottom. But at the same ratio over here, we want the pi on the bottom, right? So that's going to put the 180 degrees on the top. And so what happens is now the pi's cancel, and 6 goes into 18 3 times, and 0, because we're talking about 180 instead of just 18. So it's 30 degrees, and the degrees gets left. So that's how we go from radians to degrees, and from degrees to radians. Okay? So that's the start of that. Then we also have complementary angles. Complementary angles are two angles that add up to be 90 degrees. The way I like to think of this is complementary is a CO, and I just like to throw a 1 right here, and it's 90. So two angles that add to be 90. Two angles that add to be 90. Okay? Two angles that add to be 90 degrees. Now, in radians, it would be two angles that add to be pi over 2. Okay? So, in radians, it'd be two angles that imply to add to be pi over 2. So you're either going to add two angles to get pi over 2, we're going to add 2 angles to get 90 degrees. In the supplementary, what I like to do is look at the S in sup, and I throw a line through it, and it looks like an 8. And that's the 180. So it helps me to see that, or remember, that it's 2 angles that add up to be 180 degrees. So think of it like this. 95 and 85 degrees are supplementary. Okay? Now, 2 angles, sorry about that, 2 angles that also imply to add to be, not 2 pi, that add to be pi, are what I'm looking to be, like, say, I don't know, 2/3 pi, so 2/3 pi, and what is 2/3 plus what is going to give me 1? 2/3 and 1/3. So 2/3 and pi over 3 are supplementary. Okay? So, and I might have gone off the screen there. Sorry about that. And then this last one is about coterminal. To be coterminal means you got 2 angles, right? One here, let's say, that goes this direction. And then the other one goes from the other direction. And all they have to do is end up here at the same point. So if they're 2 that terminate at the same place, they're coterminal. So check this out. I could be the blue and the red, right? That could be coterminal because the blue's going one direction, the red's going the other direction. Even though it went around twice or once, it still ended, it terminated at the same place that the blue terminated. That's why they're coterminal. Okay? So they just have to be 2, but they don't go in the same direction. 2 angles that go in opposite directions that terminate at the same place. Okay? Coterminal. Alright. 2 angles that go in opposite directions that terminate at the same place is coterminal. Alright, that's a lot to digest, so I'm going to stop it there.